لقد كان لكم في رسول الله أسوة حسنة لمن كان يرجو الله واليوم الآخر وذكر الله كثيرا.
The Shaykh goes on to say that here in this hadith, and this is important because none of the other scholars who mentioned this hadith, I didn't find anybody else. Well, probably somebody else said it, but in any case, we didn't see it immediately that anybody else mentioned this point. The Shaykhs Al Uthaimeen says, وَهُنَا يَقُولُ إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ الْعَبْدِ. Here, we have the saying that Allah loves the abd. Is this al-ubudiyya al-kawniyya or al-shar'iyya? This abd, is it the abd that is normally translated as slave or servant? Is it the abd? But here we want to translate it as worshipper, because abd, right, is from the root of here ubudiyya, or we can say ibadah. So the abd is the one who does ibadah. So the translation that we want to use here of abd is the worshipper. Is this abd here, okay, the Shaykh is saying we want to distinguish between the abd that's just a slave under somebody's command, and the abd who willingly is worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's two different type of abd. And Shaykh al-Hakami in his book, The Signpost of the Sunnah, mentions this. And Shaykh al-Islam also mentioned in his book Ubudiyya, the difference between the abd, that is the one who's under the authority of Allah, because Allah has power over every creature that He created, and the abd who willingly surrenders and submits to Allah to worship Him, because he accepts what Allah has commanded him with. Willingly. So the Shaykh says, is this abd that Allah, inna Allah yuhibbul abd, is it the abd that is worshipping al-ubudiyya al-kawniyya, that is a slave of Allah by Allah's divine command or control, universal authority? Or is it the one who is an abd of ubudiyya al-shar'iyya, the one who is in ubudiyya that's based upon what Allah has legislated? Meaning, there's one who is the servant of Allah, who is the slave of Allah, because Allah has power over him and does with him whatever He wills. And the other one who is the slave of Allah, actually he's worshipping Allah because he has accepted what Allah has legislated in His Sharia, and he's worshipping Allah willingly, doing what Allah has legislated. So the Shaykh said, which one is it? He said, it is al-abd bil-ubudiyya al-shar'iyya. The abd who is, his ubudiyya is according to the Sharia. Meaning his ubudiyya is not submission because Allah has power over you, forcing you to surrender and submit. Rather, it's the ubudiyya of the person who willingly surrenders. Al-istislam lillahi bit-tawheed. Al-istislam, the one who willingly surrenders and submits to Allah to worship Him alone with tawheed. This is the real meaning of the Muslim. The Shaykh said is this one, the abd who has willingly surrendered to Allah to worship Him according to the law that He has revealed in His Sharia. And this is because al-abd bil-ubudiyya al-kawniyya, the abd who his ubudiyya is by the universal authority of Allah over all creatures, without, other than the ubudiyya that's according to the Sharia of Allah, this one, that abd doesn't love Allah. That is like the kafir. He's Abdullah. He's Abdullah. Naam. But his ubudiyya is ubudiyya kawniyya. He is the slave of Allah by compulsion, ijbaran, not willingly. Allah forced him into submission. He has no choice in some things. Allah will force him to do it, whatever He wills. And this one, he doesn't love Allah, and Allah doesn't love him. But his ubudiyya is because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala yaf'alu fihi ma sha'a. Because Allah does with him whatever He wills. In that sense, he's the abd of Allah. Because Allah forces him and does with him whatever He wills. So the abd here that's mentioned in this hadith is al-abd bil-ubudiyya al-shar'iyya. The abd whose ubudiyya, his condition, is a willing condition of submission and servitude to Allah to worship Him according to what He has revealed in His Sharia. The one who does what Allah wills, willingly. Based on what Allah has legislated in His Sharia. That is the first characteristic. Al-Abd, al-Ubudiyya al-Shar'iyyah. The worshipper who worships Allah, whose condition of servitude or slavery is willing submission, willing servitude to worship Allah according to His Sharia.
وعباد الرحمن الذين يمشون على الأرض هونا وإذا خاطبهم الجاهلون قالوا سلاما والذين يبيتون لربهم سجدا وقياما والذين يقولون ربنا اصرف عنا عذاب جهنم إن عذابها كان غراما